People of Reddit, what's your biggest regret? Giving my love to someone who didn't love me the same. My is kind of the opposite. It is about being dumb lol. When I was a 17-yo I was madly in love by my English teacher. She was 19-yo. We go to English schools in my country, and it is normal for young people to become teachers if they are fluent. At the end of the semester she called my home, just to tell I had been great at the final exams, and my stupid self said, "Oh, that is great, bye." Years later, oh you of the blue, I've realized she called just to flirt with me. It was not the school's normal procedure to call to the student's house to tell their grade. She took her chance and I ruined it. Weeks before she told me she used to talk about me with her mother. I hate my young self. And that is a story of how I did not date the girl I was in love with. I was introverted as a child, but now as an adult it's like my brain is trying to be extroverted, but doesn't know how. Not the worst part. Growing up, through high school / college, no parties, few friends, even fewer relationships, never went out and did anything, no stories to tell, no hobbies, nothing. The first 2 decades of my life were completely wasted. I still feel like a child, because I never had any typical experiences growing up. Making fun of the poor kid in middle school for wearing hand-me-down clothes, having dirty hair and smelling bad. After everything I've been through and seen in life from then until now, I'd go back slap the fuck out of my child self if I could for being such a dick. The funny thing is I saw that kid when I got out of the military at a bar I used to frequent. He has an awesome job in the trades now and makes a great living. I apologized for the horrible things we said to him in school and he thanked me for my sincerity. We had a beer together and I still see him from time to time. Even though I made things right between us, I'll still never forgive myself for being so fucking ignorant. I'm not that old, 30, but I regret being so serious and working so hard sometimes. I started working 50+ hours a week the second I hit 18 to pay for college. I worked full time in college. I graduated debt free and went on to work 50+ hours a week at a large corporation. I think back, and, although I'm proud of myself and my accomplishments, I wonder if it really would have mattered if I'd have just went to that house party, attended that pub crawl, or went on that road trip. I feel like I missed something important. I feel like I was never young. Once my kids are older and don't need constant care, I'm taking my life back, and I'm going to travel and experience some things again. I owe it to myself. It's better late than never. Close bracket. In 2011 I decided I was moving from Austin to Los Angeles to try my hand at screenwriting. I gave myself a 3-month window to save up and sell off everything that wouldn't fit in my car, and during that 3 months I met a girl. I told her about my decision to move right off the bat, but she said she didn't care. We had a great time in that 3 months. Probably the best time I'd had with another person, but I stuck to my guns and moved anyways. Chase the dream and all that. It wasn't long after I left that she hooked up with my old manager. Now they are married and have a kid. LA didn't pan out at all. Getting into so much debt. I went to a local college for 4 years and still managed to rack up just over $100k in student loans. It was $75k I borrowed, but all that interest piled on. I'm 25, still 7 more years and $75k of that left. To top it off, I got into a truck loan a year after graduating. 3 years of that left. I don't regret the purchase, but it wasn't the best timing. I should've got a nice older model for 1/3 the cost. I still live at home because these consume a majority of my income. The student loans I'm paying 1.5x the minimum on the private loans. I still have federal mixed in. It's like $1,600 month in just student loans. I'm saving on top of this what I can. It's getting really old though. Not dropping out of university. Weirdly enough, I was a depressed, suicidal mess for a long time, but age 19 to 23 was the worst, which of course included the 3 years I attended university. I was in a terrible mental place, so instead of getting involved with everything, having fun and learning as much as I could, I just had a breakdown and barely interacted with anyone, doing the bare minimum I needed to pass, and not much more. I also had a big health problem arise just before the second year, making everything worse. I really wish I dropped out at that point, because then I could have taken time to step back, get over my physical problems and sort my head out, and then restarted university again, when I was in a better place. I would have still been eligible for loans and grants to fund me, and I would have been able to get the most out of the last 2 years and actually improve myself. However, I didn't want to disappoint anyone, so I decided to just forge on with it. I completely wasted the whole 3 years I was there, barely learned a thing and somehow scraped a pass that I didn't want to celebrate because I didn't do anything. My family was so happy on my graduation, but it was one of the worst days of my life because I realized that I'd just squandered my chance at getting the best education I could towards the career I wanted, and it would never happen again. I'm in a much better place now and still trying to work towards that career, but with a severe handicap that everyone else who got the same education knows a lot more than me, because I didn't absorb much of it. I try to research as much as I can online, but it's much easier with tutors to help you. I really wish I'd put it on hold until I was able to actually benefit from it. When I was about 24, I heard 3 girls, they sounded about 18 or 19, in a club bathroom conspiring to leave their friend behind because they'd all hooked up with someone, and it wasn't their fault they'd had to bring that fat lesbian along with them. As much as I despise censoring words, I think it trips up the auto mod otherwise. Lesbian wasn't the word they used. And that they didn't need to tell her they were going. In fact, it would be funnier if they didn't. They were openly laughing about the idea of leaving this girl in the middle of a heaving nightclub to fend for herself because she didn't have any other friends. I couldn't really do much about it. I was mid-shit at the time, and I only had the sounds of their voices to go off as they'd left before I was done, but I still looked around the club for about half an hour or so to see if I could see anyone that looked lost to make sure she got home safe. I couldn't. I still regret the fact that I couldn't find that girl and tell her that she deserved a better class of friend. I don't know if she actually was a fat lesbian or not, but I also wished I could have told her that that was okay, that there would always be people who'd try and shit-talk her for liking ladies, but they could go and fuck themselves. From what her friend said, she seemed like the kind of person who could have used a bit of support from a stranger. I had a beautiful, 10/10ths, girlfriend who I shared the same beliefs and interests with, and on top of that a great chemistry. We were still different enough to be a good balance for each other. She was more thinking, and I'm more emotional. Not 2 weeks after I told her I loved her for the first time, I broke her heart. You see, at the same time, I was in a codependent relationship with another woman, platonic, but we were too emotionally involved. She saw that my relationship was blossoming and consistently pointed out the negatives in my girlfriend and put fake ideas in my head about who she was and how she wasn't right for me. I believed her. Shortly after that, and something I'll forever be grateful for, is that I saw how dysfunctional my relationship was with this woman. So, it cost me the girl of my dreams, but at least I got out of a very bad situation and grew from it. I've tried to move on, but I'm still not totally over it. I've tried to make amends, but beyond forgiving me verbally, she has made it clear she does not want to see me again. Ever falling in love? Better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. No, screw that. That's pure BS. If I could erase the pure joy that being in love was from my mind, I would in a heartbeat. Now I'm just stuck, longing to feel that love again, longing to give my love to someone who I'll spend the rest of my life with. It's painful. It's like drowning, desperately swimming towards the surface, so you can feel the relief of breathing in the air. Except it's pitch black, and you're not even sure you're swimming towards the surface or not. Better to have never experienced the fulfilling happiness of love than to have lost it and be left desiring it your entire life. At the risk of expressing big mood or extreme edge, or whatever, my biggest regret is today. Today, I did nothing good for myself. I ate like shit. I sat in front of the computer for the 10 hours I was out of bed. I continued to ignore basic hygiene. I didn't get my car's oil changed, coming up on 12k miles. I didn't attack any of the many piles of trash or unanswered mail. I didn't remove any of the mold from the toilet or bathtub. I didn't cancel the never once read newspaper subscription I signed up for 8 months ago in a panic, State because the salesperson was the only direct eye contact I had made in weeks. I made no attempts to seek the medical care I've been avoiding since reaching adulthood. I continued to not respond to any attempts from friends or family to contact me. My biggest regret is today. My biggest fear is tomorrow. My biggest enemy is myself.